Hey everyone, I'm Scott from Superphase, and this is our review of Pokemon Legends ZA. 2025 has been packed with video game releases, and now Game Freak's unforgettable creatures have scampered onto the Nintendo Switch family of systems to join in on the fun. Pokemon Legends ZA boasts a shift in locale, a bold new battle system, and some delightful quality of life features that make catching 'em all a world better. With new Nintendo hardware providing breathing room for development, Game Freak and the Pokemon Company seem eager to shift the momentum back in their favor. But will Legends ZA make players forget the disappointment of Scarlet and Violet and prove their games have undergone a true evolution? Legends ZA departs from the ancient wilderness of Hisui for the French-inspired metropolis of Lumio City, the grandiose tourist destination last featured in Pokemon X and Y. There's been some urban redevelopment thanks to Cosartico Inc., a corporation working to make city life better for people and the Pokemon who have been slowly coming to the city. But returning to the Kalos region is significant for another reason. Here, the best trainers have mastered Mega Evolution, pushing the powers of their Pokemon partners to the absolute limit. While the citizens of Lumios remain conflicted over their growing presence in day-to-day life, an unknown phenomenon is sending wild Pokemon into dangerous states of rogue Mega Evolution. Cosartico needs help from the best to keep the balance intact, and thus your objective is clear. Raise a team of Pokemon strong enough to climb the ranks of the ZA Royale and prove your worth as the savior Lumios needs. My initial impression of Legends ZA Switch 2 gameplay was one of shock. The game runs at a solid 60 frames per second, and the boost in performance brings Pokemon and characters to life like never before. Walking the streets to sights of kids running with Pokemon and trainers sharing coffee with their partners in perfect motion hit me square in the feels. I've wanted a Pokemon game to feel as magical as Legends ZA does for a long time, and I wore a goofy smile throughout my first hour diving into it. Legends ZA looks striking in fluid motion, but stopping to examine the environment shows some cracks in the foundation. Buildings are flat and look like they've been plastered with sharp JPEG files rather than constructed from the ground up for detail. It doesn't help that there isn't much to study in the environment beyond them either. Sharp textures running in solid frame rate is an improvement for Game Freak, but it's hard not to scrutinize an environment that looks as bland and repetitive as Lumio City does. Giving things a bit more identity from sector to sector would have greatly benefited the overall aesthetic, but as is, the end result left me a little fatigued. Legends ZA music was written and performed by Game Freak and contributing superfan Carlos Ayin, and although the selection of tracks shines throughout the adventure, it got tiring hearing the same two versions of Lumio City's theme dominate the vast majority of my play. These tracks aren't bad by themselves, but there isn't enough variety reserved for the city itself. Once I reached the credits, I immediately set the music volume in the options menu to 0 for the remainder of my play. It's worth acknowledging the detriments, but Game Freak aren't betting on graphics and music to win fans over. Where Legends ZA truly shines is in battle, maneuvering your trainer while they issue real-time commands to their faithful Pokemon. Movement feels great, and I found that the decision to shed the classic turn-based formula for cooldowns allows for deeper strategies in a lot of cases. There's room for status moves to be squeezed in before Pokemon close in on each other and while attacks are cooling down, giving time for a quick Swords Dance or Iron Defense to bolster stats. The impact of each attack is felt with satisfying punch and pop, and it's great seeing Thunder, Fire Blast, and Draco Meteor come crashing down onto enemies. Iconic attacks are particularly fancy when night falls over the city, as the red hologram walls of ZA's battle zones rise up. Picking fights for prize money and tickets was a good time, and it's easier than ever to get stuck into the gameplay loop thanks to some streamlined features. Switching Pokemon in and out during battle is done in real time with the D-pad, and healing and reviving them is as quick as clicking in the right analog stick once paused. These may not sound like fancy overhauls, but when battles are as fast-paced as they are in Legends ZA, the more time spent in the action, the better. Racing to rack up wins, prize medals, and challenger tickets before the break of dawn can be a lot of fun, and ambushing opponents is satisfying even if it is a little easy to do. Though I still wish the classic gym experience played a role in the mix, the battle zones managed to satisfy my thirst for combat. But you aren't always the apex predator in Lumiose City, and nothing demonstrates that more than challenging giant rogue mega Pokemon to epic rooftop bouts. It's one thing to consider the HP of your 6 partners when taking down a big nasty, but in the Legends games, trainers must be watchful of being knocked out themselves. These encounters were my single favorite part of Legends ZA, and their inclusion kept things from getting too repetitive later in the game. Rolling out of the way of sweeping attacks and countering giant megas with those of your own brought new levels of thrill I wasn't expecting to ever experience in a Pokemon game. The Alpha-type Pokemon that debuted in Legends Arceus return as well, serving as smaller boss encounters to test movement in the 3D space. We can talk about battling, graphics, mechanics, and narrative all we like, but when it comes to Pokemon, those things never articulate Game Freak's magic. The ace they carry in their sleeve is in the bonds we form with our personal collection of monsters. We love to watch these guys grow, reach their potential, and make us proud, not only in battle, but in every journey and feat accomplished together. It's committing to that very sense of partnership that separates Pokemon from just about every video game on the market. I was happy to learn I could recreate the dedicated team I've used for years in Legends ZA, since Game Freak chose an excellent assortment of fan-favorite monsters to include. There's 230 mons available at launch, not including all of the new and returning Mega Evolution forms from X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire that also make an appearance. It would have been nice to have more, but if the scope was going to be limited, I'm at least thankful we have access to a pool of creatures this good. As nice as it is to see them return in such great presentation, I found the interaction between the player and Pokemon to be rather limited this time. You can rest on park benches with your partners, sit with them while you sip a warm roast, and of course they'll float or follow behind as you explore, but that's the extent of the interaction. You won't be playing with toys together, engaging in petting sessions, entering them into contests, or crafting poffins or sandwiches for them to nibble on. Legends ZA makes the decision to go all in with its Pokemon battles, and while I'm incredibly grateful for the experience delivered, this element felt noticeably absent. When I first caught glimpse of Pokemon Legends ZA's new direction, I was skeptical. I'm partial to Pokemon's traditional combat, and to say Pokemon Scarlet and Violet damaged my trust in this developer is an understatement. But taking a chance with Legends ZA, I found that the more I battled, the more I saw the merits of changing things up. Realizing how different fights could feel buoyed by the increase in performance was refreshing, and being unbound from menus to stay engaged in the unfolding combat was the right choice. While battling real-time in the open environment isn't always perfect, it made sense for such an action-oriented entry. ZA's characters have seen a great deal of improvement, which made the story a lot more digestible than it's been in previous entries. Team MZ were fun companions that grew on me after things got going, even if they were a little hand-holdy and restrictive in the beginning. Though ZA's plot isn't a masterpiece, exploring the friction between outsiders and insiders was a nice choice of theme, and the writing kept story beats moving for the majority of the story. There are times when Legends ZA gets close to channeling the feeling of its anime counterpart, but just as those moments come, they're immediately held back by the lack of voice acting. Pokemon Legends ZA is a great demonstration of Game Freak's capability and decision-making. Their choice to commit to their strengths paid dividends, even if the environment holds back a greater adventure. It's easy to appreciate a game where everything comes together, but recognizing the limits and choosing to make the best experience possible within those constraints also matters. Gameplay first is the Nintendo mantra, and it's for good reason. Remaining true to that philosophy has made Legends ZA a worthy follow-up to the groundbreaking Legends Arceus. Though there is still work ahead to fully realize the potential of the franchise, Game Freak and Pokemon fans can be proud of this stride forward. We here at Superphase give Pokemon Legends ZA an 8 out of 10. Thanks for taking the time to check out Superphase and our review of Pokemon Legends ZA. Don't forget to subscribe for more gaming reviews, updates, and discussions. We really appreciate your feedback and support. Be safe, Be well, and cheers!